Hi, and welcome to the Writing on the Wall. Today we're going to be looking at J.D. Vance, the Republican candidate for Vice President. And who is the real J.D. Vance? By using graphology, which is based on psychological principles, we can get a good idea of his personality and character, perhaps better than any other means of individual assessment. J.D. Vance poses a challenge since his signature and the body of his writing don't match. A signature reveals what a writer wants others to see, and the body of the writing is what the writer's true personality is. So let's start with his signature. He uses his initials. J is his personal self, and the J is large and quite well formed, imaginative and future-oriented. The D shows he desires dignity and respect, so the weird comment would be hard on him. His last name, Vance, shows how he wants to appear in larger social circles. It relates to his family name. It's more rounded and kind, nurturing. He eases into things and is aware of the needs of others. And he's cautious. We see this in the survivalistic squall. He kind of leans low to the ground when he writes, and he's obscuring some letter formations in an attempt to hide a bit. He makes more of his personal identity. It takes extra energy to come off as an emotional, responsive, future-oriented guy. The capital J shows a large generosity flourish, but it comes back to himself. He does like to garner attention if it will get him what he wants. And the body of his writing is different from his signature, which shows he wants to appear differently from who he really is. The body of his writing shows that he's really quite focused. He likes details, and he can get lost in them. It's hard to see the big picture for him, and he can get nitpicky. He's direct and tells the truth as he sees it. He's hopeful, as we see in his upward slope, and he can be encouraging. But this may be regarding little things as he's focused on detail. Unfortunately, he can't see the forest for the trees, and he gets caught up with little things. He can become impatient with others and even with himself. He may openly criticize others in the way they think and act. He'll be more impatient when frustrated. He has high standards of conduct and performance, and he tries to live by them. In fact, he puts a lot of pressure on himself, and he can become overwhelmed. When he does, he'll need time alone to regroup. And we see this by a descending stroke, which doesn't return up to the baseline where you put things into action. So it's just descending down, and it's alone, it's isolated, like he wants to be. For one reason or another, he's developed a conscious self-control. It's the convex T-bar. Sometimes you see this in persons who want to stop drinking or smoking or stop some other habit, or it could be something worse. I used to work for automobile dealerships because the salespeople, it was sometimes a revolving door. One time I noticed a convex T-bar on one of the salespeople that they were hiring. I said, yeah, go ahead and hire him, but this is something that could be a concern. It's probably just some bad habit, though, that he's trying to correct. So about a month after the hire, I called into the dealership just to see what was going on with him. And they said, well, he's out of work because he's in jail. He was fighting for custody of his kids, and it had been a long, drawn-out process. So he was trying to keep himself under self-control, and he just blew in the courtroom, and the judge said that he was a contempt of court. So you never really know why, but in Vance's case, he may be trying not to let his impatience show. And when you do that, when you keep a tight lid on something, eventually it can explode. We know he wants to be seen as this real charming, positive guy, but the added stress of trying to be something you're not, it could mean that you're going to explode. Okay, and being on show as a vice president would really just add to the stress, especially as he can't hide under pressure. Plus, he's going to need help in seeing the big picture, or at least that others take that lead while he attends to all those details which he loves. Although he's in the position to delegate, he can and will micromanage. He doesn't set high goals for himself. He wants to be assured he can reach a goal he sets for himself. He has a lot of pride and takes comfort in his high standards of accomplishment and conduct. He can't stand for them to be thwarted and doesn't like to be ridiculed either. Being called weird might be especially harrowing for him, and it could make him need even more time alone to lick his wounds. In the upcoming debate, he may not do as well as Walz. His true self, as seen by the body of the writing, is not so warm and likable. He may even appear frustrated and a bit overwhelmed. These traits may come into play more as the debate proceeds, once he gets past what he wants you to see. The friendly, warm, and positive personality his signature shows. He does tell the truth as he sees it. He won't get caught up in fact-finding, but neither will Walz. Walz does appeal to the masses and is so warm and likable. These personality factors will most likely come out at their first debate and should become more evident the further they get into the campaign. I haven't been able to find Vance's wife's handwriting, although I've sure looked. But I strongly feel someone, maybe his wife, is guiding him along, because he just doesn't have the initiative and motivation to accomplish all he has without help. His handwriting shows that he'd be a good employee within a structured setting. But Trump isn't likely to give him the structure he needs to comfortably perform his duties as VP. He'll certainly clash with Trump, who sees the big picture quickly and reacts swiftly. Trump may be tempted to get rid of him, but in lieu of that, will become resentful of his choice for VP. So Vance and Trump may bring out some of each other's personality traits they'd rather not have others see. Vance will make Trump even more resentful, and Trump will push Vance to perform quickly and confidently, and this just isn't in Vance. We'll see him become more frustrated and overwhelmed. So they'll detract from each other's motivation and just won't work well together. Hence, the campaign will be hurt. Vance will try his very best for himself, his family, and his country. As far as being the VP, he'd be able to serve satisfactorily if he'd have help. But in the worst case scenario, if Vance would have to step into the presidency, he just doesn't have that ability to perform well. With his attention to details, he'd be making sure a room is set up properly with enough chairs and the audio visual is just right, rather than thinking about what he'll be talking about, especially if he's asked to talk about new policy and ideas. So he's always concentrating on the little things rather than being able to see and react to the big picture. And some Vance is trying to put up a front. The difference between a signature and the body of his writing is the reason why graphologists will never do an analysis on just a signature. His signature again shows a charming, open, and warm personality who can handle even large problems with ease. Instead, he gets frustrated and overwhelmed quite easily and likes a lot of time alone to regroup. Instead of being casual, he's nitpicky and irritable. He'd be better off taking guidance than giving it. It's tough to have to pretend you're something you're not. And as he tires out easily anyhow, his ability to keep up pretenses is going to be lowered due to the stress of being constantly in the public eye during the campaign. This may affect the campaign negatively, as we'll see more clearly in the days leading up to the election. You may be surprised to know that Trump has said he's become somewhat of a graphologist himself. He should probably have studied the relationship between the signature and the body of the writing, and he would have seen that what he saw in Vance, a charming, sociable, and relatable young man, is really a frustrated, impatient person with a lowered ability to motivate himself and others. It takes at least 3 years to even become okay at being a graphologist. I've been at this for over 50 years and I'm still learning. You can learn more about this science by watching my video on graphology and subscribe to get notifications on the videos of major influencers in the 2024 election. Thanks for watching and see you next time.